Doing focus group testing on this. The product, we're going through designs right now, putting out different approaches to these presentational elements, make sure what students like. One of the things that's happened in our focus group testing that probably hasn't happened too often in the past is that we're actually talking to students. Not infrequently, publishers will talk ad nauseum to administrators and teachers because they're the decision makers, but students never get into the conversation. We're not doing that. We want to know what teachers and administrators think, and John's done a lot of focus group work on that, and we'll talk a little about that in a moment here. But we're talking these days even more to students to find out if we can put in front of them something that they'll embrace, that'll really get to how they want to learn, how they do learn, how they communicate. We have another big project, developmental math. We just got funded by both the Hewlett Foundation and the Gates Foundation at the end of 2009. The project's going to run for the next 3 years, and the intention is to build the content for 4 basic courses. Starting the first of this, right now we're anticipating the first course is going to come out in December of this year. We've also partnered with MITE. For those of you in the room, MITE is a math teaching organization for 2-year schools in the US. It's a big one, and they've become a partner in this to make sure we get this thing directed properly. This project is intended to increase the number of financially disadvantaged students that pass developmental math. For those of you that know these statistics, between 1/3 and 1/2 of the students, depending where you are, entering community college have to take developmental math. And the numbers for financially disadvantaged students are a bit higher than that. The pass rates for students, and before you can get to credit-bearing courses in college, you got to get through this, right? So it's a real stumbling block for a lot of students. And the number of the number of students that get through developmental math is surprisingly small, and it ends up being a stop point for college education right there. And so the intention of this project is to tackle that. We're going to do it in sort of 3 different approaches to this. We're going to build courseware, like we do. We're going to build interventions that we think are going to help this. We're going to take advantage, again, of everything that came before, the research that came before, but also the products that are out there right now. There's good products out there. They're not being used because of financial barriers or maybe some other barrier having to do with the technology, but there's some good products. We can learn from them, and we have. But the other part of this project is we can build a great product, but if it doesn't get used, and so the rest of this is the enterprise itself. We're going to take advantage of what we've done at NROC, and we're also building relationships so that we get this out into the hands of the people that need it with a business model that makes sense both financially, politically, but it has to be sustainable. And then finally, we're not doing this in a bubble. Just like algebra, we're doing focus group work. John Watson from Evergreen Consulting is managing focus group work on this project for the next at least a couple of years. Every month, talking to more people, taking things off our assembly line, putting it in front of, make sure we're still on track. From administrators, we want to know, is this going to work for your programs you're dealing with? Is this the right tool for you? From instructors, is this a teaching tool you can use in the way in which you teach? But we also want to hear from students. These are students that have failed this course in developmental. They've already failed. So it's going to be built differently. There's going to be different expectations for what this is versus the 8th grade algebra course, right? And it's going to run the gamut from kids in high school that are now, they just failed middle school math, now they've got to pick it up in high school, to 28-year-olds with 2 kids coming back to community college to get a degree. So we got to serve that whole community. In the last few months since we got this thing launched, we have been working to, John has been doing focus group work. He may talk to that a little bit later when we do the math project, or do the math session. Putting the product and the enterprise in front of focus groups to make sure we got it right. We have strategic partnerships we're putting together, especially with groups that represent underserved populations in the US. Francisco Hernandez is guiding that project for us. He's been making contacts around the country. We've been learning from NROC, we've been learning from our agile development to get the production process in place for getting this thing launched. In fact, it looks like, I guess, production is truly being launched here this month for this product. And then finally, the taxonomy, the curriculum itself. Michael Carter has been working on that for the last several months. We've engaged a number of math experts from around the country to help us make sure this curriculum is right. The intention is that we build the 4 courses that seem to be, I'll show those in a moment, that are at the heart of developmental math in the US. But we build them in such a way that they're a collection of content that you can all use, and you choose to build it in a different way. And what we heard from the Gates Foundation and the Hewlett Foundation is, sure, we want to have the courses everybody uses, but the world is changing. MITE is moving in the direction of having more statistics-based approach to developmental, something that's more everyday common man math. And there are the Common Cores out there. We have to have an articulation between Common Core coming out of high school and community colleges. So this is going to be a collection of content that will address all that. It'll be configured in the way you typically do it for developmental, but alternatively you can find different routes through it, including maybe even a 1-year course rather than 2 years of mathematics for developmental.
Yes.
These are our partners. We've been working strongly with Achieve, CCSSO, Linda Pittenger is sitting here today, and National Governors Association, who are strongly behind the Common Core. We're making sure that we're in the conversations, we build this the right way. Here's where we are. We know that there are 4 courses that we've seen over and over across the country: arithmetic or pre-algebra, the beginning algebra course, intermediate algebra, and geometry. Those are the 4 that more often than not, that is the curriculum across the US. Right now, we're looking at is composed of this breakdown: 17 units, 51 lessons, 116 topics, but 346 distinct learning objectives. We're getting granular on this because we heard back from people that are going to be putting this in their systems. It's got to have that level of granularity so it'll work with my program. As I said, John's been doing focus group work for the last year, 15 months or so. This is where he's been. Now, many of you are going to see your schools up here and your institutions, because you've been helping us with this focus group work. And thank you all for helping us with this. This information has helped guide where we are to this state. John is continuing to do focus group work. In fact, we're doing a couple tomorrow locally. And John is lining up more focus group work for the next year. And so this focus group work is meant to engage with students to find out what this product ought to be. But it's also engage with instructors and administrators to find out what the enterprise should be. How should it be built so it'll work for you?